On Saturday, 13th May 1922, the Hillsborough District War Memorial was unveiled by Arthur Wills Percy Wellington Blundell Trumbull Hill, 7th Marquess of Downshire, and was dedicated by the Right Reverend Dr. Charles Thornton Primrose Grierson, who was Lord Bishop of Down and Connor and Dromore. The monument was the work of John Robinson and son of York Street in Belfast, and the Celtic cross is made from Irish limestone and is about 12 feet high, with the arms of the cross being 5 feet wide. The base weighs about 4 tons, and the names of 72 men from the district who died in the Great War were recorded on 3 raised panels. The names are grouped under the relevant townland from which they hailed, and a 73rd name was added in 2018. The back panel records the names of 13 men who died in the Second World War, and the memorial currently records the names of 86 fatalities from the 2 world wars. In the Great War, 42 men died from the Royal Irish Rifles, and 6 men died from the 2 Fusilier regiments of Ulster. 14 died with Dominion forces, with 12 belonging to the Canadian Expeditionary Force. 10 of the fatalities were from other regiments of the British Army, and 1 man died on HMS Cressy. 6 of the Second World War fatalities served with the British Army, 4 with the Air Force, and 3 with the Royal Navy. After the memorial had been unveiled, the first wreath was laid by Mrs. Ellen Jane Thompson of Arthur Street in Hillsborough. 3 of her sons are commemorated on the War Memorial and on the memorial tablet in Hillsborough Parish Church. The front panel records the names of 23 men from Hillsborough town, including the 3 Thompson brothers who had all been born in Kilcavey to Moses Thompson and Ellen Jane Spence. Moses Thompson was born on 17th November 1896 and was serving with 2nd Battalion Royal Irish Rifles when he died of wounds at No. 2 Casualty Clearing Station on 21st January 1916. He was 19 years old and is buried in Balliol Communal Cemetery Extension in France. Joseph George Thompson was born on 24th April 1894 and was serving with 13th Battalion Royal Irish Rifles when he was killed on 28th June 1916. He was 22 years old and is buried in Martinsart British Cemetery in France. Whilst marching out of Martinsart village, an enemy shell exploded among the men of 11 platoon, resulting in 24 fatalities. Robert John Thompson was born on 22nd February 1880 and enlisted with the 18th Reserve Battalion of the Royal Irish Rifles. He was serving with 12th Battalion when he died of wounds on 29th May 1917, aged 37, and is buried in Dranoutre Military Cemetery in Belgium. Ellen Jane Thompson received war gratuities totaling £17 and 10 shillings in 1919, and this equates to just over £1,000 in current terms. This panel records the names of 26 men from the townlands of Achnatrisk, Achondunvaran, Ballynock, Ballykeel, Artifinny, Corcreeny, Drumlock, Lissadian and Mays. John William Gregg was born on 8th April 1889 at Corcreeny to James Gregg and Lucy McCord, and the family later lived at Ballykeel, Artifinny. He was working as a farm servant when he enlisted with the Royal Irish Rifles in Hillsborough in September 1914 and was deployed to France with the 13th Battalion in October 1915. On 4th July 1916, he was admitted to a convalescent depot with gunshot wounds to the right arm, but was discharged back to duty the following day. He must have been wounded again, as he died of wounds at 1st Southern General Hospital in Birmingham on 12th October 1916, aged 27. His remains were brought home and were interred in the graveyard at Hillsborough Parish Church on Sunday, 15th October. Rifleman John William Gregg is commemorated on the memorial tablets in Kilwarlen Moravian Church and St. James Church of Ireland, Lower Kilwarlen. The rear panel originally commemorated 10 men who had died in the Second World War, and 3 names were added at a later date. Oliver Cummins was born on 4th April 1916 at Ardnley Avenue in Belfast to John Macbeth Cummins, who was a butcher, and Matilda Stewart. He was educated at Royal Belfast Academical Institution and was employed in the Ulster Bank when he enlisted with the Royal Air Force. Leading aircraftsman Oliver Cummins was stationed at No. 9 Bombing and Gunnery School and was the air gunner on a ferry battle aircraft which crashed near Gimlet Rock in North Wales on 31st May 1941 with the loss of the 3-man crew. Oliver Cummins was 25 years old and his body was returned to Northern Ireland and buried in Lisburn Cemetery on 7th June 1941. The family home was at CARNBANE House on Hillsborough Road. When the memorial was unveiled, this panel commemorated the names of 23 men from the townlands of Culcavy, Ballycroon, Ballymurphy, Cabra, Carnbane, Cargy Gray, Reverend and Tullynore. 12 of the names on this panel are for Culcavy, including 2 men commemorated on Belfast Shipyard's memorials and also commemorated on the memorial tablet in Eglantine Church of Ireland, Culcavy. James Andrews was born on 29th August 1891 to John Andrews and Dorothea Bradshaw, and he worked as a driller at Harland and Wolff. He was serving with 13th Battalion Royal Irish Rifles when he was killed in action on 1st July 1916, aged 24. He is buried in Connaught Cemetery in France and commemorated on the Queen's Island Memorial. Thomas Mercer was born on 7th October 1877 to John Mercer and Mary Lowry, and he married Margaret Kane on 7th August 1901 in Lisburn Cathedral. Rifleman Thomas Mercer was serving with 13th Battalion Royal Irish Rifles when he was killed on 28th June 1916 in the same incident in which Joseph George Thompson died. Thomas Mercer was 38 years old and is buried in Martinsart British Cemetery in France and is commemorated on the Workman Clark Belfast Shipyard Memorial. In 2018, James Wilson of Stubby Hill was added to the memorial following research by Philip Bell. James Wilson was born on 3rd October 1881 at Ballykeel, Lochern, to Joseph Wilson and Anne Jane Thompson, who farmed land at Stubby Hill near Annahilt. James Wilson was a farmer at Wittenberg in Ontario province when he enlisted with the Canadian Expeditionary Force at Calgary on 27 September 1916. He embarked from Halifax, Nova Scotia on 16th December on board RMS Olympic, sister ship to RMS Titanic. On arrival in Liverpool, he was admitted to the Seaforth Military Hospital with mumps and was later treated at the 1st Western General Hospital for diphtheria. He was transferred to the 31st Battalion Canadian Infantry and arrived in France on 22nd April 1917. He was wounded during the Battle of Hill 70 and died at No. 6 Casualty Clearing Station on 21st August 1917, less than 4 months after arriving in France. He was 35 years old and is buried in Barlin Cemetery in France and commemorated on this family memorial in the graveyard at Cargy Creevy Presbyterian Church. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.